The morning sun painted Kitui in gold. Children now record their own stories, elders share legends, and the archive grows beyond what Jean-Pierre and Nafula imagined. Yet with growth comes external pressures. Foundations, media outlets, cultural institutions, all offering support with hidden expectations. One delegation asks, "How will you balance international demands with village needs?" Jean-Pierre answers calmly, "Sustainability is rooted in community ownership. We guide, we do not dictate." Nafula adds, quietly but firmly, "Legacy is not fame or money, it's respect, authenticity, continuity. Kitui's voices are our compass." Later, the real challenge appears. A broadcaster wants a documentary, editorial control, dramatized stories. Jean-Pierre hesitates. This could fund expansion. Nafula shakes her head. It could distort the voices. Integrity is priceless. We protect it first. They draft a counterproposal. Ethical collaboration, villagers involved, stories preserved faithfully. Even internal debates arise. Who gets recorded first? How to integrate new tech? Jean-Pierre and Nafula mediate patiently. Exhaustion is inevitable, but their partnership strengthens. As fireflies glow, they walk to the storytelling circle. Jean-Pierre whispers, "This is why we do it, not for recognition, but for this heartbeat, this legacy." Nafula taps her cane lightly. Legacy is motion, not monument, alive, evolving, protected, and we are keepers, not owners. Side by side, love and purpose intertwined, the story archive thrives. Rain threatens the hills of Kitui. Tension lingers, external pressures, internal doubts, persistent outsiders. Wanjiku reports strangers demanding access. Nafula grips her cane, alert. Fear is the first weapon. We do not yield. In a meeting with the elders, Mzee Omandi reminds everyone, trust is fragile, balance is required. Jean-Pierre nods. Every decision respects Kitui's culture and autonomy, nothing without consultation. Nafula adds, trust is built through participation. Listen, act, protect our shared history. Outsiders return, more insistent, offering funds for unrestricted access. Jean-Pierre and Nafula convene the village. The visitors demand full control. Jean-Pierre speaks calmly. Stories belong to Kitui. Access only with transparency and consent. Nafula's voice rings out. Trust cannot be purchased. It is sacred. Any violation is exploitation. Frustrated, the delegation leaves. Villagers murmur approval. Later, walking along the riverbank, Jean-Pierre asks, "Are we doing enough?" Nafula smiles, listening to the village at night. Enough is measured by intention, courage, and integrity. We are enough. Hand in hand, they reaffirm. Together, they face every challenge. Their bond, like the stories they preserve, is unbreakable. Because in Kitui, as across continents, truth, trust, and love endure, and their story, far from complete. The sun had barely kissed the red earth of Kitui when Nafula and Jean-Pierre convened with a small group of villagers at the community center. The air was thick with anticipation, subtle tension hanging like a whisper through the room. The recent visits from outsiders had left traces of doubt among some of the villagers, and today it was time to confront it openly. Jean-Pierre began, his voice calm but deliberate. We have faced interest from foundations, journalists, and cultural institutions. Some intentions are genuine, others less so. But no matter who comes, our guiding principle remains. The stories belong to you, the people of Kitui. Nafula's cane tapped softly against the ground as she added, and sometimes those who bring influence are not malicious, but unaware. They may unintentionally push agendas that clash with our values. We must remain vigilant, not out of fear, but out of respect for what we have built. A young teacher, Mwende, raised her hand hesitantly. Some villagers, she said, they feel that foreign recognition could help the school, bring resources. They worry that saying no might close doors. Jean-Pierre nodded, understanding the delicate balance. That is true. Opportunity is not wrong, but compromise of integrity is. There is a difference between accepting support and surrendering control. We can accept help, but only on terms that honor Kitui and the stories we protect. Nafula's voice, steady and clear, carried through the room. Influence will always be present. Wealth, fame, or even knowledge, these are tools, not masters. We decide which tools to use and how. Never let external pressure override what is right. Later that day, while reviewing recordings, Jean-Pierre noticed subtle murmurs among a few villagers. Some whispered about traveling abroad, about sharing their own stories independently, about exploring opportunities beyond Kitui. He brought this to Nafula's attention. "They are thinking of venturing out," he said quietly. "Not everyone agrees with our approach." Nafula listened, cane tapping rhythmically. "And that is healthy," she said. "Growth always invites choice. Some will see the world and return stronger. Others may be tempted to leave. Our role is to guide, to prepare, to anchor them in respect for their heritage. We cannot control all decisions, but we can teach discernment." That evening, as the sun sank behind the hills, casting long shadows across the village, Jean-Pierre and Nafula walked along the path to the river. Children's laughter floated on the air, elders conversed in the distance, and the wind carried the scent of wet earth. "Do you ever worry," Jean-Pierre asked softly, "that influence might fracture what we've built? That we can't protect everyone's choices?" Nafula tilted her head, listening to the river. "I worry," she admitted, "but worry is different from fear. Influence will always exist. Our task is not to eliminate it, it is to equip those we guide to navigate it wisely. Shadows are only powerful if we let them hide the light." Jean-Pierre squeezed her hand. "Then we teach, we guide, and we trust?" "Exactly," Nafula said, voice warm yet firm. "Trust is a living thing. It must be nurtured, defended, and shared. Influence tests it, but it cannot destroy it if it is rooted in integrity." As night fell and the village settled under the stars, Jean-Pierre and Nafula returned to their small home, hearts heavy with the weight of responsibility, yet lightened by shared purpose. The following week brought unexpected visitors to Kitui. Not tourists, not journalists, but a small team of local activists who had heard of the village's efforts to preserve its stories. They came with proposals, some promising, some subtly self-serving, and the villagers watched with curiosity and caution. Jean-Pierre convened a meeting in the community hall. His eyes scanned the room, noting the mixture of excitement and skepticism. "Remember," he said, "our decisions are ours alone. Offers can be tempting, but every promise carries a cost. We weigh it carefully, not just for today, but for the generations to come." Nafula stood beside him, cane steady, voice unwavering. "The tide of opportunity is turning. Many eyes are on Kitui now, but visibility does not equal value. Our stories are already rich. The world can notice them, but they cannot dictate them." Baraka, Nafula's brother, spoke up. "Some villagers feel that keeping outsiders out is selfish. They argue we could gain more schools, healthcare, or scholarships." Jean-Pierre nodded slowly. "They are not wrong to seek improvement, but we cannot trade our history for temporary gains. Integrity isn't a luxury, it's survival." As discussions continued, tension began to mount. Some villagers felt constrained by the caution, longing for progress and recognition beyond the village. Others clung to Nafula's principles with quiet reverence. It was a delicate balance, a tug-of-war between ambition and preservation. That evening, Nafula walked to the riverbank alone, letting the cool water calm her restless thoughts. She had dedicated decades to guiding her people, yet she knew influence, even well-intentioned, could erode trust if not managed carefully. Jean-Pierre joined her quietly. "It's changing," he said softly, watching the ripples in the river. "The younger ones are questioning, exploring. They want more than what we've protected. Do you think they'll stay?" Nafula's gaze followed a lone heron gliding over the water. "Some will," she admitted. "Some may leave, but that is not failure. Growth demands choices, even if painful. What matters is that we give them the knowledge to choose wisely. That is how our legacy continues." Days later, Baraka approached Nafula with his own proposal, a plan to document the village's stories digitally, allowing the youth to share their culture without losing its essence. Nafula studied him closely, seeing both ambition and caution in his eyes. "This could work," she said finally, "but only if you remember, the stories belong to Kitui first. We share, we don't surrender." Baraka nodded, determination shining through his uncertainty. "I understand," he said. "I want to help, not harm." As the first rain of the season began to fall, drumming softly on the rooftops, Nafula felt a shift. The tide was turning, yes, but with careful guidance, the current could carry them forward without sweeping away the heart of the village. Sunrise over Kitui in a blaze of gold, lighting the village with a warmth that felt both familiar and triumphant. Months of challenges, scrutiny, and negotiation had brought Jean-Pierre and Nafula to a place they had worked toward their entire lives: balance, respect, and enduring trust. The morning air was filled with excitement as villagers gathered in the central square. Today was not just another storytelling session, it was a celebration. The Kitui Story Archive had reached a milestone. The next generation of recorders, led by Baraka and the village youth, were officially taking stewardship of the project alongside Jean-Pierre and Nafula. Nafula stepped forward, cane tapping softly against the earth, her presence commanding attention. "This archive began as a bridge," she said, voice strong yet warm. "A bridge between the past and the future, between our village and the world beyond. And now that bridge is wider, stronger, and in your hands. Every voice, every song, every story belongs to you. Protect them, honor them, and let them guide you." The children clapped and cheered, elders nodded with pride, and Jean-Pierre felt a swell of emotion. He stepped beside Nafula, hand brushing hers. "We have traveled far, faced scrutiny, and resisted pressures that threatened the integrity of what we cherish. And now we see the fruits of that perseverance, not just in recognition, but in empowerment." Baraka approached, eyes shining. "We are ready," he said confidently. "We will continue your work, but also bring our own ideas, while keeping the heart of Kitui intact." Nafula smiled faintly, a hint of tears in her eyes. "That is all we could hope for. Growth without compromise. That is the true legacy." As the day unfolded, storytelling sessions flowed seamlessly into workshops. Children learned how to record songs, elders shared forgotten tales, and Jean-Pierre guided technical operations with the same care and respect he had always shown. The archive had become more than a project. It was a living, breathing part of the community, a source of pride, unity, and continuity. That evening, as the sky turned shades of crimson and violet, Jean-Pierre and Nafula walked along the familiar paths of the village. The air was alive with laughter, song, and the gentle rustle of trees. "We made it," Jean-Pierre whispered, squeezing her hand gently. Nafula's smile was serene, confident. "We did, not alone, but together, with the village, with the youth, with every story we have preserved." Jean-Pierre turned to her, voice low and tender. "Do you think they understand what we've protected, what we've fought for?" "They will," she replied. "The archive is not just recordings or words, it is trust, integrity, and love. Those are lessons that last longer than any fame, longer than any accolade. Under the vast Kenyan sky, Jean-Pierre and Nafula paused by the riverbank, listening to the gentle current. Children's laughter echoed, elders' stories drifted on the wind, and the heartbeat of Kitui pulsed strong and steady. "Our journey isn't over," Jean-Pierre said, eyes bright with determination, "but we've ensured that the next steps will be guided by those who belong here, by those who honor this place." Nafula leaned into him, cane resting against her shoulder. "And whatever comes next, we face it as we always have, together, grounded and guided by truth." The night fell gently over Kitui, but the legacy of the story archive shone brightly. Across generations, across continents, across hearts, the voices of the village would continue to echo, resilient, authentic, and eternal. Jean-Pierre and Nafula stood side by side, their hands entwined, watching the glow of lanterns flicker through the village. They had built more than an archive. They had built a living testament to the power of trust, love, and unwavering dedication. And beneath the same sky that had witnessed their journey from doubt to triumph, they finally understood. True legacy is not measured by what you achieve alone, but by what you empower others to carry forward. The Kitui Story Archive was no longer theirs alone. It was a gift to the community, a bridge to the future, and a story that would never end.